Does anyone have a question? I have, one announcement to make. Every couple of months, I have to have this procedure with my eye, and it turns out that it's going to be this coming Monday, actually about 2 weeks earlier because of the holidays. So I won't be having a meditation class on Monday. So if you don't get an invitation, don't feel slighted. You're still on my list. I have to have it. It would be impossible for me to do a class after I have this treatment. Does anyone have a question? I think this has been absolutely an amazing year in, on so many different levels. I think it's also been a very difficult year. Uh, we're dealing with the kind of tensions we have to deal with in our everyday world, not only our personal tensions, but the craziness of politics and religious wars and stuff like that, creates an awful lot to work against. And yet, at the same time, having all of that to work against, we can learn to use it to build a much stronger inner life, to be able to, you know, sustain an internal quiet while all of this craziness is going on. I was listening, every Christmas, I listen to, Bach's Christmas oratorio, Handel's Messiah. And, not that I'm really a religious person, I'm not, but I just love the music. It's extraordinary music. And one of the arias that always affects me is this one about every mountain and every valley and every hill and plain, the crooked made straight and the rough places plain. It's extraordinary because that's really what our work is about. The crooked made straight, all of the chaos, all of the roughness and difficulty, being ironed out, being made manageable inside ourselves. The crooked made straight and the rough places plain. It's really what spiritual practice is about. We all have the crooked, we all have tension, we all have problems and things we have to work against, and whether they're relationship problems or economic problems or all the problems that go on in the world. But we also have this internal life of ours that leaches onto these problems and allows them to make the crooked not straight, allows them to feed that crooked energy inside, that energy of that's not harmonious, that's not full of balance. And we feed off of it. And eventually, not only do we feed off of it, we begin to use it in our life every day. Instead of using it inside ourselves as a means of getting stronger, as a means of building in ourselves a system that can live while the crooked exists and to be able to transform it into harmony and balance. And we can't be innocent about this because, the kind of craziness and all it's never going to go away. It's always going to be there in our lifetime. maybe 5 million lifetimes down the road, there'll be enough people that will attain enlightenment and get free of the planet Earth that this madness will go away. But in our lifetime, it's going to always be there. So what do we do? Do we get swept away in it? Do we get angry? Do we get pissed off at everything? Or do we say, no, I'm born here to learn how to get to God. And I'm not going to get to God if I allow all of that nonsense to interfere with me. But it's not going to go away. I have to get strong enough to be able to transform it into my spiritual life. I have to get strong enough to be able to transform it into love, into forgiveness. And I think that's all of our responsibility. It's our responsibility to ourselves. That's our responsibility to other people. It's our responsibility to God to be able to transform that internal chaos into a spiritual life. And it makes a person very, very strong. And a person doesn't succumb to all the chaos. They can maintain that equilibrium, that quiet inside, that openness to spirit, that openness to Shakti, to higher energy, that helps them to grow every day and to function here on a human level, not on a level of madmen and, it's like the mad leading the blind. I always love that scene in King Lear, where Lear is leading mad. Lear is completely mad, leading Edinburgh, who's blind, in the middle of a rainstorm at the edge of the white cliffs of Dover, I mean, it's a metaphor that it so completely captures, the way the world is run, not only in Shakespeare's time, but today. The mad leading the blind, edge of a cliff in the middle of a rainstorm. I mean, there couldn't be a better metaphor about what goes on in our world today. And the same thing went on 500 years ago, hasn't changed. We can change. We can change. And I think that's the key to what Rudy left us and his meditation practice. We can change. It's commitment. It's not procrastination. It's not putting it off. You put it off and put it off, and one day, it's all over with. So you got to wait to the next lifetime so you can continue to put it off until one day the commitment comes. I have to stop putting it off. I have to do it in a profound, deep, real way. And all it does is transform fear, insecurity, guilt, pain, suffering into a spiritual life. I mean, each and every one of us should be the best reminder to ourselves that we have to do some deep inner work. We don't need to go anywhere to discover this. We just have to take a look at what goes on inside ourselves and say, wow, shit, I better do something. You don't need me to remind you. I mean, you spend 24 hours a day with yourself. You should have some idea what goes on there, But does anyone, and I'm not putting people down. I'm really not. I just want to kind of remind everybody that There's no reason to procrastinate, to put it off, because we're all masters at that. Well, we should be masters of the craft of meditation. Does anyone have a question? Okay. So just to remind you that on Monday, I have to do this procedure. Not that I want to do it. It has to be done. It's not easy. But it's also making it possible for me to do these classes, you know. But I won't be able to do it on Monday. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? Okay, God bless you all. Thank you. I hope some of the things I talk about really penetrate inside. They certainly penetrate in me because it's basically not me talking. I mean, I don't talk like this all day. You know, I come to these classes and all of a sudden this stuff comes out, you know? It's like Rudy said, you know, on your own time, you could be tired. On God's time, you can't be tired. Doesn't matter how tired you are. If you got to be on God's time, you're not going to be tired. And all of this Shakti pours out, this energy, these things come. And they're there for you, they're there for me, they're there for anyone who wants to attend these classes. I don't see why people, you know, sometimes the questions and the talks are just as powerful as the meditation, and people leave. I don't get that. People leave and they're missing all of this. You know, I guess whatever else they have to do is more important, you know, that they can't spend another 10 minutes to receive what comes through in these talks. It's like, I'm amazed at what comes through in these talks. And I'm telling you, it's not me, it's this energy, it's God. This energy is being channeled for all of us to learn something about ourselves and what it means to have a spiritual life. Okay, if there are there are no questions today. God bless you all. And there'll be a class. What's today? Wednesday. There'll be a class tomorrow, Thursday, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.